Welcome back to our second and final part on our helicopter maneuvering tutorial. I know it's been only a few days, but now is the best time to wrap up a successful two-part series on familiarizing yourself with helicopter maneuvering. I'm Pilot 13, and I'll be joining you on this short-legged tutorial on flying better. When we previously left off, we've discussed hovering, observing your surroundings, and taking off. Today we'll be going over some advanced maneuvering techniques, starting with banking. Hope you enjoy. In the cockpit with us today is Wetter42, who's now going to demonstrate the concept of banking to prevent utter destruction and tragedy. Banking in a helicopter is a maneuver that involves adjusting your yoke or stick and your yaw or foot pedals to allow your rotorcraft to make coordinated turns without losing speed. But first, here's what happens when your helicopter turns without yawing at high speeds. Roll it. Ouch, am I right? To prevent this from happening to you, you'll want to turn your yoke in one direction while turning your yaw in the opposite direction. Confusing, right? This is due to the tendency for the tail to spin with the direction of the body as you yoke in that direction. In other words, you have to use your yaw pedals to hold the helicopter's tail in place smoothly to make that gradual bank happen. Now that you understand banking, it's important to learn about your specific helicopter. Each helicopter is distinct in its own personality, but they all share one commonality. Can you guess what it is? Here's a hint. Quality. Spilling the T? That's right, it's the letter T. They all share a T-shaped profile consisting of their main rotor blades and their narrower body. When in tight situations, it's important to understand this, as it may mean the difference between life and death. Similarly, all rotorcraft have a natural downward tendency, meaning if you just hover in place, eventually you'll find yourself on solid ground. You can use this fact to increase speed, slow descent, or carefully plan your next maneuver. Where they differ, however, is in different aspects, such as weight, handling characteristics, and size profile. Even the blade count. For example, you'll notice helicopters with 2 blades are harder to control than helicopters with 3 or more blades. Also, the specific model's mass plays a part in how easy your rotorcraft will be to control, though your mileage may vary. Now that you know how to fly, it's only fair we teach you how to stop. Stopping is simple. While flying in one direction, simply point your helicopter in the opposite direction and you'll start slowing down. You may notice that you're gaining altitude as you pitch in the opposite direction. This is normal. To counteract this, reduce your overall power. For maximum stopping power, however, you'll find that adding power is needed. This means you'll have to find your balance between negative and positive power. Now that you know how to stop, you'll need to know where you're authorized to land. Right here. Seriously, you're pretty much good to land anywhere in emergency conditions. In reality, the weight of your rotorcraft will dictate where you can land, as your helicopter can crush buildings and pavement. It may be a feature you'll see here soon. But for now, feel free to land on any surface, from a helipad to a mountainside to a building, and everywhere in between. Just remember, taking off and landing on sloped terrain isn't as easy as it may seem. Now, if you've flown the custom helicopter profiling, you'll notice that you have the ability to lose control if you're not careful. Here are some tips to keep yourself out of trouble. Number 1, avoid trees. Trees are not your friend. Number 2, fly high, especially when starting off. Give yourself some altitude to fail and plan your next step. Number 3, no showboating. Save that for the air shows, flyboy. Number 4, anticipate your route. Know where your next turn leads and where that leads as well, aka look ahead. Number 5, know your body. Some helicopters can fit in some places while others just can't. Number 6, and finally, if you find yourself stuck in pilot-induced oscillation, Stop responding to your helicopter and tell it how to respond.
Now that you know what to do when problems arise that are caused by you, let's talk about issues that may arise from your aircraft. What I'm talking about are auto rotations. Sometimes you may run into situations where your engine quits out. In those cases, you'll need to perform an auto rotation. This happens when you're able to use the wind passing beneath your helicopter blades to slow your descent one last time before touching the ground. The key factor in performing an auto rotation is either altitude or speed, which is why it's so important to ensure you're flying safely by incorporating at least one of those practices in all areas of flight. Get it? Got it? Good. You should have what you need to be able to fly. But remember, always, always, always fly first. Focus on what you're doing. Balancing, maneuvering, recovering. Save the showboating, sightseeing, and shooting for later. And speaking of shooting, it's time we talked about shooting. You may engage in certain missions that require you to take the offensive. As I mentioned previously, it's imperative that you fly first. Compromising your flying style to land the shot is a guaranteed way to end up where you don't want to be. So, remember, focus on flying, and when you're comfortable with how you're oriented, then you can adjust your nose to land the shot. Alternatively, offloading the responsibility of shooting to a co-captain never hurt either. Now, I've taught you all you need to know about flying helicopters properly. It's time to put it all together. Start playing with each of the controls and identify what's needed to maneuver in specific ways, what's needed to recover, and what's needed to fly effectively. I've given you the tools. What you decide to build with them, it's up to you. Good luck. I'm Pilot 13, and I'll see you in the skies.